just wanted to briefly talk about character tie-ins. So for my Tal'Dorei campaign, I have a outline of everything that I know is happening in the background, but there's a lot of details that can be, swapped around one way or the other. So, key example I came up with right away was there is a warlock dude that is like a key medium bad guy around probably a level 4 or 5 encounter. There's a lot of ways we could go with it. My first instinct when I was first establishing the game was to make that guy's research and ritual that he's doing to become a werebear. Now, that was probably because I had a cool miniature that was a werebear and I wanted to use it. But mainly, the issue was I had a party with a ranger and a druid, and those were two of the newest players, and those were players that you want to involve in story stuff. So I always lean towards whoever's the newest player, kind of skew your cool moments towards them a little bit, just so they have a little place in the spotlight. They feel more about what the game is about besides just the dice rolling and combat stuff. So on the flip side, had those two been very sword based, if it was if instead of the druid character, if they wanted to be like a fighter going towards the samurai background or something, then and the ranger, if they were more of or if they were like a dual wielder kind of ranger, then definitely would have skewed that towards a sword thing. So instead of a ritual to become a werebear, could easily do a thing where this character is trying to recreate the process where the legendary weapons have been made. It's a Tal'Dorei game with Critical Role, so they have the Vestiges of Divergence, these cool magic items that then get awakened and then get exalted as you level up and do things that make them cooler. So he very easily could have been working out some ritual to create a new vestige, and that would have been really cool. But that would have been really cool for a party that the characters you're trying to get that character spotlight on are more sword based. Now in my game, another thing that could come up, because things aren't just swords or nature stuff, I make that character related to Zimmerset, I believe is the name. So a mild book spoiler, I guess. But the Zimmerset is the guy that's in charge of Westrun, and so it's a militaristic. It's technically, I think, a police state at the moment. And I have some background. I had some sketched out notes of a political subplot going on with one of Zimmerset's sons being the character who has fallen in love with this half-orc paladin, and that whole storyline. But he's not next in line. He's a couple steps down in line, and so him going off to do magical studies and things wasn't that suspicious. But he managed to get himself out. But he's still, a son of the guy that's in charge, so creates more of that political intrigue. Now, the two groups I've had run in this campaign so far haven't cared about going towards political intrigue stuff. You pepper in a little, plot thing in one of your side missions at the Adventurers Guild, and they just didn't care. So don't try to force things your players don't care about. Explore the stories that, think of them as more like co-writers than subordinates in any way. Think of yourself as lead writer and respect where they're going with their characters. So, if they don't think it's cool, it's not going to be fun. So, definitely skew that direction. So that's just one, key point in the game where it could have diverged a couple of different ways based on what players are interested in. And I'm sure for your games you can find lots of different things. When you have your own setup. So your setup, your central tension that you're trying to tie into. But your players are a big deal in your campaign. They're the main characters in the story. So you want to make sure you're doing character tie-ins, and you need to probably, in my opinion, think of it on that same level, that you need to know how your game is set up. You need to know what your central tension is, your central plot theme. going through your campaign. And very much you need to know how you're tying your characters into this. How do they matter? And how is this story different because of the characters they've chosen to be playing? So for me, those are big pinnacles of setting up a campaign. So hope that's helpful in some way, that you can maybe central tension for your game and how you can adjust certain plot points in it to fit your players. I have a post on Twitter under Gandhi Gun Gaming about trying to get character ideas, and I can do some video stuff on those. Those are always fun. The ones I like the most are where someone has a build that they have in mind, but they don't have a story for it. A friend of mine had a first level Forge Cleric, and then Wizard after that was the plan. And there was the question, why? Why is this character, has up to that point trained to be a cleric and is in a suddenly go wizard? And a lot of games that I have started like level 2 or level 3, and he's like, yeah, I want to do wizard stuff, but I want that AC. And it's like, we gotta at least come up with something that's gonna work. So I like those. Those can actually be really cool characters, because once there's not any more thought process going into the build, they have their build figured out, and then they can just start thinking story constantly. So those are my favorites. So if you got something weird character build that you're doing, let's figure out a story for it. That sounds fun to me. Alright, well, see you guys around.